This specific quality of hope. The clean apartment, the new city skyline through unfamiliar windows, the job title that is new enough that the patterns have not yet had time to fill it. The relationship in its early weeks, before the familiar architecture has had time to assemble. That hope is real. The relief of it is genuine. The specific physical quality of a life that has been temporarily stripped of its familiar friction, of the accumulated weight of the patterns and the dynamics, and the version of yourself that the old environment had shaped around you. That relief is not nothing. And then, 3 months later, or 6, or occasionally the cruel version where it is only 6 weeks, you feel it. The ghost returned. Not suddenly, gradually, the way the tide comes in. You notice first one familiar discomfort, then another, the specific anxiety that you thought belonged to the old job beginning to assert itself in the new one, the dynamic you moved cities to escape, reassembling in a new set of relationships with new people who are somehow producing the same architecture, the version of yourself you were so certain you had left behind, setting up residence in the new apartment with the same ease with which it occupied the last one, because it was never in the apartment, it is in you. And here is the specific, hard, important truth that this episode is built on. You are the only thing you cannot leave behind. Not your patterns, though patterns travel too. You. The specific, continuous, unbroken, non-negotiable you that has been present through every fresh start, every new beginning, every carefully constructed clean slate. The you that moved to the new city, that took the new job, that started the new relationship. That you was always in the car. It is always in the car. And the fresh start, however genuine its hope, cannot produce the change you are looking for until the person inhabiting the fresh start has changed, which is not a reason to stop changing. It is a reason to understand what change actually requires. Here is the question I want to hold with you today. The one that, answered honestly, changes everything about how you understand the relationship between who you are now and who you are becoming. Are you running toward a new life? Or are you running away from the person you are in this one? Because these look identical from the outside. Both involve change. Both involve the genuine desire for something different. Both produce the specific, motivated energy of someone who has decided that where they are is not where they need to be. But they are not the same thing, and the difference determines whether the change you are making will actually produce the life you are looking for, or whether it will produce the reinvention loop. The reinvention loop is what happens when you change the scenery but not the internal architecture, when the fresh start produces 3 months of hope, followed by the gradual, reliable return of the patterns that were always structural rather than situational. When you discover for the 2nd or 3rd or 7th time that the ghost in the machine travels with the machine. Today I am going to show you the alternative, not the dramatic, total, clean slate alternative, but something more specific and more powerful, the 2-degree pivot. The understanding that real, lasting, self-respecting change is almost never the product of demolition. It is the product of small, precise, aligned adjustments that, held consistently over time, produce an entirely different destination.
There is a specific cognitive pattern, well documented in psychology, recognizable in the experience of almost everyone who has ever felt the gap between who they are and who they want to be, called dichotomous thinking. It is the belief that if something is not fully aligned, it is fully wrong. That if the life you are living is not completely the life you want to be living, it has no value and deserves to be replaced rather than adjusted. That the only meaningful responses to misalignment are to accept it completely or to reject it completely. Either this is the right life or it isn't. Either this is the right relationship or it needs to end. Either this job is meaningful or I should quit. The spectrum between these extremes, the vast, populated, actually where most lives are lived territory of this is partially right and needs adjustment, is invisible to dichotomous thinking. And the invisibility of that middle territory produces the ejector seat. The moment the friction exceeds a threshold, the button gets hit. Not from cowardice, the opposite. From the genuine, honest experience of misalignment that deserves a response. But the response available to dichotomous thinking is always the nuclear option, because the middle option, the 2-degree correction, the repair rather than the demolition, does not register as a meaningful response. And so the book gets closed. The new book begins. And the specific, beautiful, genuinely valuable chapters of the closed book, the skills built over years, the relationships that were real even when they were imperfect, the version of yourself that navigated the difficult terrain and accumulated genuine wisdom in the navigation, those chapters get filed under lost time rather than under the foundation I am building on. I want to offer you the most important reframe in this episode through the image of kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. In kintsugi, the fractures are not hidden. They are filled with gold and made part of the object's beauty. The repaired piece is more valuable than the original, not despite its history of breaking, but because of it. The breaks are visible. The repairs are visible. The specific, particular, non-repeatable history of this object is right there in the gold lines, and the history makes it more beautiful, more specific, more real than an object that had never broken. Your history is not the thing you need to escape before the new life can begin. Your history is the gold. The misaligned decade was not wasted. It was the specific, irreplaceable accumulation of knowledge about what does not work for you, which is exactly the information you need to make the adjustments that do. The relationship that failed was not proof that you do not deserve love. It was the specific, difficult education in what genuine reciprocity requires, which is exactly what you need to recognize it when it arrives. The version of yourself you are trying to leave behind is not the obstacle to the new life. It is the raw material.
Let me trace the reinvention loop precisely, because I think many of you are inside it right now, and recognizing its structure is the first step toward exiting it. Here is the sequence. Phase 1, the misalignment recognition. You become aware, gradually or suddenly, that the life you are currently living does not match the person you are becoming. The job, the city, the relationship, the social architecture, something or several things feel fundamentally wrong. This recognition is real. The misalignment is real. The pain of it is not being dramatized. Phase 2, the diagnostic error. You locate the source of the misalignment externally. It is this job. It is this city. It is this relationship. This error is understandable. The external circumstance is genuinely contributing to the misalignment, and changing it will genuinely relieve some of the friction. But the external circumstance is not the primary source. Phase 3, the clean slate. You make the external change, the move, the resignation, the ending, the new beginning, and you feel, genuinely, not falsely, the specific relief of the fresh start. The friction is temporarily removed. The new environment has not yet been patterned by the internal architecture. Phase 4, the honeymoon. 3 months, sometimes 6, the specific quality of newness persisting. The old patterns not yet reestablished, the hope holding. Phase 5, the return. The patterns reassemble, not because you failed, because patterns are structural, not situational. Because the internal architecture, the specific way you relate to yourself and others and the world, was not addressed in the external change. It traveled with you. It is setting up residence in the new environment with the same ease with which it occupied the last one. Phase 6, the recognition. You realize, with a specific quality of exhaustion that is different from ordinary tiredness, that you have been here before, that the scenery changed and the story did not, that the ghost in the machine is you. And here is where most people return to phase 1, completing the loop. The exit from the loop is not in phase 3, not in a better, more carefully chosen external change. The exit is in phase 2, in the diagnostic. The source of the misalignment is not primarily external, it is internal, and internal sources require internal address, not instead of external change, in addition to it and prior to it. The 2-degree pivot does not begin with changing the scenery. It begins with changing the internal architecture, the small, precise structural adjustments to how you are inhabiting your life and allowing the external to reconfigure around those adjustments over time. I want to name something that requires a degree of honesty that the starting over framing tends to obscure. The clean slate is often a defense mechanism. Not always. Sometimes the external change is genuinely necessary. The relationship is genuinely irreparable. The job is genuinely wrong. The city is genuinely not where your life needs to be. I am not arguing for staying in situations that are fundamentally harmful. There are situations where the 2-degree pivot is not what the situation requires. But in the reinvention loop, in the specific pattern of the person who has had the graveyard of half-finished lives,
The clean slate is often not the necessary exit from a genuinely wrong situation. It is the escape from the specific, difficult, non-dramatic work that staying and evolving requires. Because staying and evolving means having the conversation, not the dramatic confrontation, the sustained, repeated, unglamorous series of conversations that real repair requires. It means changing one behavior, not the whole self. The specific, slow, confusing work of introducing small adjustments and sitting with the period of dissonance before the new behavior becomes natural. It means tolerating the discomfort of being in transition, of being partially the old version and partially the new, of being neither fully here nor fully there for longer than feels comfortable. The clean slate removes all of that. The move, the resignation, the ending, they reset the dissonance. They produce the immediate relief of not being in the middle of the difficult thing anymore. They feel like progress. And they are also in the reinvention loop, a way of starting the clock again, of returning to the beginning of the cycle rather than pushing through the middle of the one you were already in. Real transformation is not exciting. It is the specific, unglamorous daily work of a person who has decided that the middle of their current story is worth pushing through, rather than replacing with a new first chapter. It does not feel like progress in the way that moving cities feels like progress, but it produces something that moving cities cannot: the actual change.
Let me give you the positive vision of what this episode is building toward, because the work of stopping the reinvention loop needs a destination, not just a direction. The destination is identity integration. Identity integration is not the discovery of a new self that is better than the old one. It is the specific, conscious, patient process of taking everything that has already happened, the misaligned decade, the failed relationships, the versions of yourself that did not work, the patterns you are actively changing, and folding it all into a more honest, more complete, more fully inhabited present. Not amnesia, not amputation, not the pretense that the previous chapters were not part of the story. Acknowledgement, reframing, the specific act of looking at the chapter you want to call wasted time and understanding it instead as the specific education I needed before I was ready for the next thing. I did not waste 10 years in the wrong job. I spent 10 years developing the skills, the clarity, and the hard-won knowledge about what I actually need that I could not have acquired any other way. I did not fail at that relationship. I learned through direct and costly experience what genuine reciprocity requires, and that knowledge is now part of what I bring to every subsequent connection. I did not lose myself in that period. I developed an extraordinarily specific map of where the self gets lost, which makes me a more reliable navigator of my own interior than someone who never got lost. This is the gold in the cracks. And the 2-degree pivot is how you move forward from here without requiring the demolition. A plane that adjusts its course by 2 degrees ends up on a completely different continent. The adjustment is barely visible in the moment. The destination is entirely different over time, not because of a dramatic course correction, because of a small, precise, held adjustment that compounds. You do not need to quit the job. You need to stop performing the role you have been performing in it. Stop being the fixer. Stop being the emotional thermostat. Stop being the one who holds everything together at the cost of your own work. That 2-degree adjustment, made consistently starting today, will produce a different experience of the job within months and a different trajectory within years. You do not need to leave the relationship. You need to stop performing the dynamic you have been performing in it. Stop over-functioning. Stop over-explaining. Stop managing the other person's experience of you at the expense of your genuine self. That 2-degree adjustment, made consistently starting today, will either transform the relationship or reveal that the relationship cannot survive your genuine self. Both outcomes are more valuable than the continued performance. The pivot is not settling. It is the specific courage of someone who has decided to change the architecture rather than change the scenery.
The practices in this episode need to work within the life you already have, because that is the whole point. Not new habits for a new life, structural adjustments to the current one. The first practice is the subtraction audit. Instead of asking, what do I need to add to my life, the typical self-improvement framing, ask, what version of me needs to be retired? Not a character assassination, a specific, honest identification of the defense mechanism, the pattern, the performance that has been costing you most, the over-explaining, the over-functioning, the thermostat role, the clean slate addiction itself. Pick one, just one, and ask,
what would it look like to stop doing this one thing within my current life, starting this week? Not to transform the life, to retire the one thing that has been preventing the current life from becoming what it could be. The second practice is identity anchoring. Identify 3 things that are true about you regardless of your job, your city, your relationship status, or any other external circumstance. Not aspirational qualities, actual current realities. I am someone who processes depth. I am someone who cares with genuine intensity. I am someone who sees patterns. These are the anchor points, the things that are yours across every context, every fresh start, every version of the story. When the change feels destabilizing, when the 2-degree pivot is producing the dissonance of transition, return to these anchors. They are the continuous thread, the you that travels with the machine, the you that is actually worth building on. The third practice is the 1% shift. Identify one specific area of friction in your current life, the relationship, the job, the pattern, and instead of the full clean slate response, change one thing within that area, not the whole thing. One boundary, one disclosure, one stopped behavior, one started one, and hold it for 2 weeks before evaluating. The specific, patient practice of holding a small adjustment long enough to see what it produces, rather than abandoning it for the next fresh start when the immediate change does not produce immediate transformation, is the core behavioral skill of the person who has exited the reinvention loop.
Starting over is easy. I want to say that clearly, because the culture tells you the opposite, that the dramatic reinvention requires courage, that the clean slate represents boldness, that the person who burns it all down is the one living authentically. Starting over is easy. It removes the difficulty by removing the situation. It produces hope by resetting the clock. It feels like progress because it looks like progress. Staying and evolving is the hard thing. Staying means sitting with the dissonance of being in transition, being partially the old version and partially the new, neither fully comfortable. Doing the specific, unglamorous, non-dramatic work of changing the architecture while the building is still occupied. Staying means not getting the clean slate, not getting the relief of the reset, not getting the 3-month honeymoon of a fresh start. Staying means trusting that the 2-degree pivot, held consistently in the actual life, by the actual person, with the actual history, will produce the destination that 10 fresh starts could not. The most beautiful stories are not the ones where the hero finds a new world. They are the ones where the hero learns to inhabit the one they were in all along. Your story is not over. The cracks are there. They always have been. They are not the reason to close the book. They are where the gold goes. You are just finally holding the pen.